Thank you, Holly, and good evening and welcome to the State of the City. And I'd like to thank the library staff for hosting this event in a public building that some people call the heart of the city. Tonight, I want to talk to you about shaping our future and building our community. When I gave my first State of the City in 2010, the city had become rather dysfunctional, and I was filling the vacated mayor position on an interim basis. I started with this statement: it is the council's intention to regain our city's reputation and to demonstrate that government of West Linn is stable, secure, and productive. And now, less than 4 years later, it is widely understood that we have regained West Linn's reputation and the government is stable, secure, and productive. By any measure, be it financial, infrastructure, services provided, or staff, West Linn has positioned itself to continue to be one of the best places to live in our nation. A lot of the thanks go to the West Linn City Council. And tonight, our council president, Jody Carson, is not with us tonight, and I'll tell you in just a moment where she is and how she is benefiting the city. The other council members are here. Start with Mike Jones, Jenny Tan, and Thomas Frank.
Right here.
Right here. Some time ago, when there was a gentleman who was also on the council for a relatively short period of time, very productive. And since that time, he has continued to be very productive for West Linn and has been an inspiration to a lot of people and epitomizes the volunteers that we have in West Linn, Mr. Jim Mattis. I'd like to go back a minute and I'd like to tell a story about Mike Jones. And this story, I think, will help explain a lot about how this council works and why it works so well. About 8 years ago, Mike and I were on the planning commission. And he was relatively new, hadn't participated in many heavy decisions. And one night we had something pretty heavy on the agenda. And he argued one position pretty forcefully. And I argued a different position rather forcefully. And we took a vote. And he got more votes. We adjourned the meeting and we went home. Next morning at 8 o'clock, my phone rang. And Mike Jones said, "Are we okay?" It wasn't about the business that we did or the differences that we had. It was, are we okay? Are we ready to move on to the next issue? And we were. And we still do that. And this city council deals with a lot of tough issues. They deal with them in their own way. We make decisions, and we're ready for the next issue to come forth. The city now has a good reputation, and this is important. If you look at a map of the region, you will see that we're a rather small city, surrounded by other jurisdictions, and they all have an impact on us. The umbrella organization in our region is called Metro. Tonight, our council president, Jody Carson, is not here because she is chairing the Metro Policy Advisory Committee, which affects over 2 million people in every community in our region. Now think about this. 4 years ago, we did not have a seat at that table. And now, Jody Carson is the chair. She's doing an outstanding job in many aspects for our city. Small cities like West Linn often cannot provide city services and except at a relatively high cost because we lack economies of scale. We need partners who can provide economies of scale as well as expertise. So who are our partners? We own a water plant with Oregon City. Our backup water supply is Lake Oswego. Our sewage is processed by the county. Our public access television is provided by Metropolitan Area Communications Commission. And if you call our police dispatch, your call is answered in Lake Oswego. And then there's Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue, including West Linn. They provide about 12 jurisdictions with life-saving fire and rescue. And they do it with expertise and equipment that a small city could not hope to provide. We have representatives from Tualatin Valley here. I think there's a vehicle out front. Thank you. Mr. Jordan, I want to back up a minute. The other aspect of besides the city council is the city staff. Nothing happens without the city staff actually getting our policies implemented. And the city staff is run by Chris Jordan. Is he here tonight? Chris Jordan has been with us about 7 years. He's been at the helm a long time. And you've guided the ship through a lot of choppy waters, and here we are, and we owe you a great debt. Thank you very much. You've done a great job. We have other principal staff members here. Assistant City Manager is Kirsten Wyatt. I think Ken Worcester was here, Parks, and Richard Seal, Finance. Now, these folks are constantly looking for the most efficient and effective way to provide essential services and infrastructure as our financial condition continues to be somewhat challenging. Look at the upper part of the handout on your chair. I hope there's one on almost every chair. You'll see in the top part the tax rate, the base tax rate for the cities. Ours is at $2.21 per thousand. Now, it's the lowest in the region. You can see that Lake Oswego and Oregon City have tax rates over $5. The good news is that we can still provide utilities at reasonable rates. Now, look at the graph portion of the handout. It compares West Lynn's average bill to our neighboring cities. And as you can see, our bills are among the lowest in the area. And I think there's a bigger chart of that over there if this gets a little hard to read. On the back of the handout is the scorecard from the Finance Department, and it contains some rather interesting information. And a more easily read version. Do we have another version of the handout that's on a board? Right there. Oh, okay. You can look at that if you would like to. Now, our low tax rate compels us to look for ways to augment our services. But in the past, our reputation was such that West Linn was not considered for grants, and we had not passed a city bond measure in many years. This has changed. In the past year, West Linn has received a $220,000 grant from Metro for planning the Arch Bridge area, a $150,000 Oregon Department of Transportation grant for transportation planning, and a $35,000 grant for economic analysis. Now, this is quite an accomplishment. We were given no chance of getting the Metro grant because of our reputation. But our staff, I think Chris Kerr is here, he and Sarah wrote the grant and then rewrote the grant. And when Thomas Frank and I went to Metro to accept the grant, we were told that there were 23 applications for grants, some of them written by professional grant writers. Ours was number one, the best grant writing they had seen. And that is quite a tribute to the staff and their expertise and their dedication. Now, if you look around the library, you'll see a variety of displays made by our staff to give you information. And they've done an excellent job, and I really appreciate all the work from the staff for getting those things done. So let me talk about a few of these, and we can start with the library display, which is right over here. Now, we've made headway in 3 important areas in the library recently. We finished the construction of the new parking lot, which improves access to the library. We've replaced the roof, which replaced the bucket that used to catch the drops. And we've remodeled and updated the children's area, thanks to the Library Foundation. This is a group of volunteers who raise money for the library. How many foundation members do we have here? Sherry Shing is and Mike also. She's the head of the organization, and I see in the front that you've got a drive to get more money, and you have matching grants that people will give us money now. We can get matching grants, and the next thing that they're going to do is improve the teen areas, I understand. Is that right? Good. Well, last year, we broke ground for the new West Linn police station. And before next winter, they'll move into this modern facility, which is paid for by a voter-approved bond. This bond is the first voter-approved funding for infrastructure in about a decade. The display on this police station is right, do we have one? Right there, okay. Now, every successful venture requires a champion. And getting this bond measure through required a champion. And he made this happen. The person who led this was Mr. Bill Hill.
Right here.
Right there. Thank you very much, Bill. We appreciate all your efforts. The principal function of government is infrastructure. And one of the most visible aspects of our infrastructure is the condition of our streets. At the level of funding established some years ago, our streets were deteriorating. So this council asked our engineers at what level of funding will street maintenance be held to a minimum? And what we were driving at is that if the surface of the street remains sealed, that's a relatively inexpensive fix. But if it cracks, water gets in the subgrade, and then you've got potholes. That's the expensive fix. So the engineers came up with a range of numbers. And we asked the community about raising the street maintenance fee, and the feedback was praise for taking steps to protect the investment in our streets and for using a rational approach to problem solving. We want to keep you informed, and if you look at the map, it shows the streets that are fixed over the next several decades, and it's right back there with Lance. I mentioned earlier that West Linn received a large grant from the Oregon Department of Transportation. This grant will allow the city to comply with regional regulations, and we want to start a community conversation about transportation needs. The large grant West Linn received to plan the redevelopment of the Arch Bridge area will allow us to think about the future of our community. And I think that display is right over here. In the next year, the city will offer ways for citizens to be involved. So check out this display and sign up to receive notices on feedback and updates. Now, one of my favorite displays tonight was put together by Jim Wynot from the Water Department, and that's right over here. A reliable system for water is essential to every community. Most of you, I'm sure, have seen the news about California and West Virginia's water problems. Well, we have a few problems of our own. As most of you know, a massive earthquake is in our future. And you may also know that our water comes over the Willamette River in one 24-inch pipe that's not seismically secure. That's the pipe. It's hung under the bridge.
Pick it up.
We don't have to think about that very long to understand that the city needs a reliable source of emergency water. We have an intertie from Lake Oswego for a long time. The Lake Oswego plant, which is in West Linn, was aged and needed to be replaced or relocated. So Lake Oswego partnered with Tiger to form the Lake Oswego Tiger or LOT. Last January, your council approved LOT's application for the reconstruction of that plant, as well as laying the 4-foot pipes needed for intake and for the transmission of fresh water. The plant and the pipes will be seismically secure, and the intertie with West Linn will then not only connect to the LOT plant, but because of their connectivity to Tigard, we will have emergency water available from a large network of storage facilities and transmission lines. And LOT is paying the bill. This has a huge advantage for West Linn. If we had to build our own secure source of water, it would cost about $12 million and would raise your water bill about 25%. But that's not all. Because of LOT, a new reservoir for West Linn becomes possible. Not only are we getting a seismically secure supply of emergency water backed up by a large distribution system, but LOT will pay West Linn $5 million, which will cover more than half the cost of that new reservoir. Our main water reservoir is called Bolton. It's 100 years old. It's deteriorating. It needs to be replaced, and we intend to do that. There's one other part of the water system that needs attention: our water pipes. Now, you can take a look at some of them before you leave tonight, and you'll see why we need to commit to improving that part of our vital infrastructure. And I want to show you, I've been carrying pipes around for a number of years, and I show people what our water pipes look like. And I'm going to show you a couple small ones, but there are a lot of large ones who look just as bad. And you can pass these around. It's a water pipe. And if you see, it's clogged inside. There's a lot of rust. If you want to take that, and you can just...
Everybody can hold it, it's light.
Here's another one.
It's the worst.
This is one's even worse.
It's that thin database. That's what it.
So we have a ways to go with the water system, and the steps we're taking to secure and build the system at bargain rates are incredibly important to building community and making our future sustainable as well as affordable. In 2013, City Council adopted the Master's Trail Plan, which shows our support for West Linn sidewalks, pathways, and trails. And where's the display for that one? Right over there. Okay, take a look at that before you leave tonight if you're interested in walking transportation in our city. Another city goal relates to citizen engagement. Our pollsters find that 76% of residents are satisfied with communications with the public. What's really interesting is that 87% of voters below 35 years of age are satisfied. Are we getting a hum? Am I the only one that can hear that? So we have a higher percentage of younger people who like our communications. And we think that has a lot to do with our staff being at the forefront of use of technology and social media in communications. For many citizens, evening meetings are not feasible. So staff is working on a long-range communications plan called Citizens Engagement 2020. Being informed and engaged should not be a privilege reserved for those with time and resources to attend meetings. If you read the paper, you know that some of our people and businesses have been threatened, bullied, and harassed. We know that some people have not come to meetings to voice their opinion because of repercussions from their fellow citizens. That should not happen in America, and we hope that Project 2020 will help. In the future, West Linn will need strong leaders. Like any good business, we would like to foster a culture of competence, reason, and dedication. We would like to foster a cadre of individuals who understand governance and will lead West Linn in the future. 2 years ago, we conducted our first Leadership Academy, which is largely the creation of our Assistant City Manager, Kirsten Wyatt. We are now conducting our second Leadership Academy, and we have added a Youth Leadership Academy, including about 20 middle school students. Well, people who have attended the Leadership Academy and the Youth Leadership Academy, would you like to stand up? We thank you very much for your participation and your interest in the city, and we are certainly trying to get leaders for the future, and we welcome you. Thank you. There's also a list of our 2014 goals, and we want you to look at those because this is what our city council and staff are focused on in the coming years. So, what is the state of the city? West Linn is one of the best places to live in the country. There's no doubt about that. We also have a good balance sheet and low debt. But we do have a level of income that puts pressure on staffing levels and limits some of our services. We have a great source of water and a secure backup system that is being built that will not increase our rates. We have great parks, the means to maintain our streets. A new police station is under construction. We have an incredible library, talented staff, reliable public utilities, wonderful schools, and we are fostering good leaders. And yesterday we found out that we were named one of America's safest cities. Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate that. So West Linn is well positioned for the future, and I think we are the premier community in the Portland metro area, and we have a lot to be proud of. And I want to thank you all for being here in this venue. And again, I want to thank the library staff. You did a great job. The entire staff put this together very nicely. There's a lot of information available for you tonight. We hope that you take the time to look at this information. The staff and the city council will remain. I know the hour is dinner time for a lot of folks. But we appreciate your time, and we will stay and answer any of your questions. Thank you very much, and good night.
I just like seeing how happy he was and how into it, because he's been like this for all the time he's been in the city, and it's really fun to hear him talk about it like this, talk about it how the city.
The forward-looking vision of the mayor's address, looking at citizen engagement into 2020.
Today I thought that it was an upbeat speech on the accomplishments that the council and the city has managed to do in relatively a short time, given where we were at as short as 4 years ago. So it was terrific to see all those accomplishments.
Seeing all the projects that we're working on, I didn't know that we're included in that much around with other cities too.
I really think what I came away with was a very positive impression of West Linn as described by the mayor. And I think that's really critical, and I applaud that.
expenses we have and how it's the best place that like you could live. Westland is a great place. My favorite part of the speech tonight was when we were talking about the really old pipes and the upcoming earthquake.
Well, it's hard to pick one particular thing because it's just exciting to see how all the pieces are connected together. I mean, from having infrastructure projects working and the future being planned, as well as kind of the current needs being addressed, you know. And it was great news too on the safest city in Oregon, I guess. So overall, it looks like Westland's doing well.
Actually, Kirsten, I don't know whose idea was it, I can guess, to bring it here, but it was more the city. It put people together.
Well, I think infrastructure is a big one because in 6th grade we did a whole water summit thing where we had to, we learned a lot about the Westland's water system, and I think that's a big concern. So I'm glad that's been taken care of.